on this episode of Dewey Roams. I'm actually on foot, and I'm on the east side of Jane Street, going north. I just passed Jane and Woolner. Woolner is an old apartment complex, I believe built in and around 1970, and it's been a staple of my upbringing. I had a lot of friends that lived in there, and we used to play in the buildings. We used to actually ride on top of the elevators when we were small, like young. Very dangerous. I don't believe anyone got lost their life in these buildings doing that, but I know in other places they had. So I only did it a couple times, but yeah, looking back at it, that was not the smartest thing to do. But I'm just going on a bit of a hike today, an urban hike. So you want to call it a hike, you want to call it a walk, whatever. But I'm going down into a little path trail system that's off Jane Street that runs parallel with the Black Creek Flood Control Channel. Now, the Black Creek Flood Control Channel was conceived and built in the late 1950s and early 1960s, and it was to alleviate flooding in the Rockcliffe Smythe area. It was conceived after Hurricane Hazel in 1954 to prevent the mass flooding that Toronto incurred during that hurricane. So I haven't been down. I've been on this path on my bike. Apologize for the noise, it's really noisy here. I haven't been on this path walking ever. So when I went to a middle school down here called Rockcliffe Senior Public, and it was grade 7 and 8. And they didn't have this pathway that I'm going on when I was in this school. But the flood control channel was there. I'm going to show you the flood control channel when I get there. So that's 797 Jane. This is 787. That's 777. Then back there is Woolner. And I believe you have 4 buildings on Woolner. 3 or 4. Variety store over here used to be called Lentz Variety. We used to go in there when we were kids. I used to have a buddy that lived in this building. Couple buddies actually. Across the street is a park called Smythe Park. They have a public pool down there. They had it for a long time, since I was a kid. We used to hang out around in there too, and this is part of the Conn Smythe construction company. So if people in Toronto, they will recognize his name, but not everyone, obviously. He's been gone a long time, but Conn Smythe used to quarry his gravel and sand from all this valley in here. So the sand and gravel that he quarried in this valley was used to build Maple Leaf Gardens, the old home of the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team, NHL hockey team. So this path has been here a long time, but like I said, it's my very first time ever walking on it. So you can see all the dense vegetation here. You know, you would definitely see coyotes down here, and maybe even deer. You'd see the odd deer in here. But it's just a small pocket, and to the north, to the left, like when I was young, this, like I said, the path wasn't here, but none of this foliage was either. Like this was all open grass, like savanna type grass. So you could see the Black Creek Flood Control Channel. But over the years, the Toronto City Forest Management, I guess either by design or due to not having enough money to maintain these expanses of land, they've let it overgrow like this. It could be, you know, designed like that to create more of a natural environment. But this is a hill going down, so I'm going into the valley. And I couldn't tell you how long this path has been here, but I'd say what, 25 years maybe? I guess, I don't know. I know it's not fun riding up on my bike. And it's a switchback, so you come down here, then you'll see, obviously, so you don't gain too much speed. But yeah, there's a lot more forest down here than I thought, actually. Yeah, I've only been down here a handful of times, even on my bike, maybe like 3 times. But yeah, it's a lot more wild than I thought, to be honest. And they keep the grass cut, you know, obviously back about 5-6 feet. But over there, you can start seeing the Black Creek Flood Control Channel. And like I said, it's kind of an alien picture to me, because this all used to be open grass. Like they'd have to come in and with the tractors and mow all this. This looks like actually a wetland now. I had no idea this was here. So it does look nice for sure. It does look nice, but you can harbor a lot of people not so far off the trail in the wooded areas that mean to cause harm to people. I haven't heard of anyone being assaulted down here, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It's just I haven't heard of anyone. And so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go along, show the Black Creek flood control channel if I can even get down there. Like, I'm not gonna walk, like, I'm not going to trudge through this. I'm not going to go bushwhacking to get to it. And I'm not wearing long pants today. I'm not wearing gaiters. And the bushes, this bush here, this growth will be infested with ticks. So I'm not going to be, if I see a pathway that goes down, I'll go over. But over there is Alliance Avenue. So the Black Creek flood control channel from where I'm standing to the concrete embankment, I would say, what, about 80 yards maybe? Yeah, this is crazy overgrown. I wasn't expecting this, to be honest with you. There are definitely coyotes and deer down here for sure. Probably right now watching me. So up here, up this hill here, it's a big old dead tree in there, is the parking lot for 797 Jane Street. And 787, 777, all the parking lots. Back in the day, you could get between them. There was no fencing. I imagine there's fencing now, so you can't, you know, they want to make it so easy for criminals to escape when the police are chasing them. So they put up a lot of barriers now. Makes sense, right? Like, if you have an escape route, you get into problems with the police, or you're doing something of a criminal nature. Now you're gonna plan out your getaway route and know your surroundings. So, but you know, the police that work in these divisions, and right now I'm in 12 division, which their headquarters, 12 division headquarters, is at Black Creek in Trethewey. So Alliance, like I said, to the left, goes straight through to Black Creek. So then Black Creek will hook up with Trethewey, and the 12 division headquarters is situated there. And you can gain it from Todd Bayless Drive, I think it's called. So there's a plowed. It's snowing. There's a cut area here. So Todd Bayless was a police constable that was killed in the line of duty. I believe his badge number. You know, I got a bit of a photographic memory. I believe his badge number was 114. Couldn't be. I don't know, something like, I apologize for that, but he was killed in a shooting in Trethewey in an apartment building with his partner Mike Leone, I believe in 1994. And the guy that killed him, I'll name him, his name's Clinton Gale, and I believe he's still in jail. So this is the Black Creek flood control channel. Now, is my 55-year-old body going to be okay to walk down in here? When I was a kid in grade 7 and 8, when I went to Rockcliffe, you know, we'd run up and down this like nothing. And we used to play something called creek tag. So believe when you hear this. When we were in grade 7 and 8, we would jump this span without getting wet. If you can believe that. I would say 90 times out of 100, there'd be 10 times where you got wet. And I would say, like, looking at the width of this now, this is the first time I've been down here at this level since I was 12 or 13 years old, honestly. And anyhow, looking at this now, I can't believe I used to jump this. Like, this is, holy Jesus, it's got to be 12 feet across. Yeah, I was pretty athletic when I was young. A lot of people couldn't even entertain jumping it. And we had this one guy in our school, he was a super athlete, and when the river or the creek got higher from rain, he could still jump it. This guy was like, people would just stop and watch how far he could jump. But I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe how wide this actually is. So up that way, there's a tunnel that goes underneath the Jane Bridge. And I probably would have went over there if I could walk all the way back, but I'm not going to. I could have went that way, but like I said, I didn't want to get some tick infestation and end up with Lyme disease. So yeah, so I'm gonna walk up here to the Rockcliffe Bridge, and I'll show you a bit up here. And well, sorry, let me just back up here. When I was young, like I said, there was none of this foliage here. None of these trees were on either side of the bank. None. These weeds here in the cracks of the concrete, not here. Nothing. There was nothing. It was all open savanna. Not a tree in sight. Now it looks like an urban jungle. Obviously it looks familiar to me. Okay, so now back there it was a little wider and deeper. So realistically, this would probably be the span that we were jumping when we were in our early teens. It was wider back there because the water was higher up the concrete embankment. But yeah, this, you know, would I want to try to jump this now and not break my ankle or need knee replacement, hip replacement surgery? No, I wouldn't attempt it. But could I do it? No, probably not. I'd probably trip and smash my face off the other side. So, you know, things you do when you're young, and you know, a lot of people my age and my physical shape still think they can do that until they try it, and then they have to call an ambulance, or someone else that's calling an ambulance for them because they've screwed themselves up right there. So this is obviously gross that I'm walking through. Doesn't smell the best either, but I'm wearing completely waterproof hiking shoes, and it didn't even go up over my soles, so something just made a bubble in here. So I wonder what kind of animal we got in here. Believe it or not, there probably are fish in here and other animals, if you can believe that. And more or less this is just a sewage runoff. Unfortunately. So I believe, if memory serves me correctly, and I could be wrong on this discharge culvert here is the Lavender Creek. I believe the Lavender Creek, which is mostly underground, is discharging into the Black Creek here. Now the Lavender Creek runs east, up parallel with Terry Drive, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. And I think I'm not going to go much further down there. Once you get past Humber Boulevard down there, the flood control channel has walls that are built probably 30 feet tall. And in big rainstorms, it's almost to the top and sometimes over the top. It's insane to see that after a major rainstorm. It's insane. It's even taken out a bridge, a concrete bridge. So this isn't so bad. So I didn't have to do too much bushwhacking, obviously. So this is my old middle school. It was called Rockcliffe Senior Public, and I was back here a few years back for a reunion, and I got to walk around the hallways. You don't realize how small the school is, but when you're just going there from a junior school to a middle school, you think the hallways are huge, but the school is actually small. So now over here is a point of contention in Toronto. A lot of people are advocates for what I'm going to show you, and a lot of people do not like them. I am personally one person that doesn't support them. So what you have on the ground here is a speed camera. Now this speed camera has been here on and off for 2 years, I guess. And what happens with these speed cameras, they get cut down. They get put up by the city, the government, and someone comes with a cutoff wheel and cuts it, including the wires. That's pretty thick. So you'd need a good brand new cutoff wheel. You'd need a battery, a fresh battery or two in your cordless angle grinder, and just push it over. So it's been like this now. My buddy pointed out, I drove by it the other day. My buddy pointed it out to me when he was down in Toronto from Bradford yesterday. Stunning Steve. Oh, he's a handsome fella, but that's besides the point. I'm off on a tangent here. Going my whole life. There's a coyote eating a piece of pizza. I like pizza too. So now there's one on Parkside Drive, which is down by the Lake Ontario, and it runs Parkside Drive runs parallel with High Park on the east side of the park, And that camera has been cut down, the last I heard was 6 or 7 times. I don't know how many times this one's been cut down, but the one on Parkside Drive has been cut down 6 or 7 times. And there was a post yesterday, a posting, I don't know where it was, but I put it on my Facebook, and it was from Rebel News actually. David Menzies from Rebel News did a little op-ed on it, and he stated in his video that camera on Parkside Drive has made in revenue $7 million. I think it was installed in late 2023. It's made $7 million by issuing electronic speeding tickets. Now people say that, you know, it's if you don't speed, you're not going to get a ticket in the mail. I get that. And Parkside Drive, and I have to admit, it is dangerous. People do speed along there. So I'm not overly compassionate for people that get speeding tickets, whether it be on Parkside Drive or whether it be on Rockcliffe Boulevard here. You know, if you speed, you speed, especially around a school, right? Like, you know, you don't want to be hitting kids and stuff. And the way the people in the city are now, they speed like, they drive like idiots. The whole city's upside down on its head. But I look at these cameras more as a tracking device to keep track of people. Like, these cameras obviously are license plate recorders. You know, you can track anyone. You can track anyone, you know, that's a criminal, which is good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you can track people for any sort of governmental reason. So the more they clamp down on our rights and freedoms, you know, they're taking away more of our rights and freedoms daily. They just put at, you know, they see you driving around. One day maybe we're not allowed to drive around in combustion engine cars. Maybe one day we're not allowed to leave our 15-minute cities. And that's what these cameras are for. They're going up everywhere. And you know what? I would say that the people that are cutting them down, I don't know who's doing it. I don't know if it's people that work for the company or whatever, because to have that contract, you know, just in the repair work alone, like, you know, you're putting an addition on your Muskoka cottage. So it's all a grift. But people that are cutting them down are probably people that know the rights and freedoms are being infringed upon. So that's why I'm not a big proponent of them. I'm gonna walk back up Rockcliffe Hill here. School's obviously shut down for the season. It's summer break for the kiddies. And my understanding of this school, it's gonna be closed down. So I don't know when that's going to happen. I thought it was going to be closed down a couple years ago, but I don't know. Who knows? So now I got a bit of a hill to walk up here, and I'll resume my rant when I get to the top of the hill. I got a few things to touch on. When we were kids, this hill here, well, I've been down these stairs in forever. I'm not going to go down there. There's kids there, but this hill here we used to toboggan down, the one right here, and the big hill over there, that was the one where you put your life at risk going down that. There wasn't one tree, hardly, maybe like 3 trees all the way around that hill when I was a kid. It was all grass. So now obviously you can't toboggan down that because it's a jungle. And this is a fence behind here, if you can believe it. This fence didn't have one bush, not one thing growing when I went to this school. Look, it's overgrown. You know, this is not good, and it's growing right through the fence. And yeah, the amount of times I've walked up this hill is uncountable. It's innumerable is the word I'm looking for. And coming up here in the winter time, I know it's one of those stories, when you'd walk to school all the way uphill both ways and it'd be barefoot, but it wasn't like that. But I went home every day for lunch. I never ate my lunch at school. My mother was a homemaker, and she would make my lunch, so I'd go home every day. And I'd walk this hill 4 times a day for 2 years. But I walked this hill when I was a 4-year-old to go tobogganing. So I couldn't tell you how many times I've been up and down this hill. But I remember in the winter time, with the wind, you'd half freeze to death. It toughened me up, I'll tell you that. Well, that's kind of good to keep up here still cut. But this fence, can't even barely see through it. So this is Rockcliffe and Woolner. So I just did a complete circle around Woolner. Now I'm walking west up Woolner Avenue. I'm on the south side of Woolner. And to my left, up here, is a hydro field. It's been here, oh, I don't know, since, I don't know, 50s, 40s. Been here forever, long before I was on the planet. And this is all overgrown too. This used to just be all grassland. Now it's a jungle. Just coming up to the little hill on Woolner Avenue. That's where I came from down there. A food truck here. Now this facility in front of me is called, that's 190 Woolner right there, and 200 and 210. So I believe, it's been a while, a little rusty. Now this is, as you can see, a Hydro One project that when I was a kid, this was a hydro transfer station, but it wasn't near this big, and it was all this chain link fence, not this concrete fencing. So I believe in 2017 they expanded this. They made it, I guess, you know, much bigger to accommodate the ever-increasing residential properties, commercial properties, to transfer power. And I don't know if I said, but this is, yeah, the Runnymede Power Transfer Station. So Runnymede Road is just over there, but they call it Runnymede. So once I get onto the south side of this facility, I'll show you a few things. On the south side of the Runnymede Power Transfer Station, and you can see the large power transformers there. A lot of those power transformers, those large ones, come from overseas. I can't specifically say if these ones do, but a lot of them do. A lot of them come from China, and a lot of them come from Germany and wherever else. So you can't put those on an airplane. You got to put those on a ship. So you see the big concrete, the thick concrete walls. You see those walls are about a foot thick of concrete. Why do they have those? In case they blow up? Yes, but a lot of that has to do with terrorism, a terrorism event. They don't want people damaging those power transformers. There's a documentary that was done a few years back. I think it was called Grid Down, Power Up, and Dennis Quaid was the narrator. And one thing I took away from that documentary, it depicted that there was 700 attacks over a span of like 5 years on power generating or power transfer stations, power generating stations down in the U.S. 700. So people come up with rifles, whatever, and they just shoot at them, and you don't hear about it on the news. So there has to be some truth to this. And like I said, also, it's like an explosion barrier too, I would suppose. But you know, I would imagine they don't like those things don't like automatic gunfire too much. So it's much more secure than it is now than it was when I was a kid. You could climb the fence when I was a kid. Well, they had barbed wire, but you know what I'm saying. You could see everything in there. So right now, 2.18 kilometers into my walk, going down a laneway that runs parallel with Woolner to my north, to my right, and Corbett Avenue is to the left. My father grew up on Corbett Avenue, and my grandparents lived on Corbett Avenue. So the house they lived in is well over 100 years old. So it's an old part of the city. So I got some good news to report too. If you've been following my channel, but not too many people do that, but if you've been following the Arkansas Devil's Den murders, you may know or may not know that they captured the person that committed the double homicides. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he's responsible for killing the parents of those two young girls. Now, I found out yesterday that the two young girls that witnessed their parents being murdered, they have another sister. I don't know if the other sister's older, younger, or what, but the third daughter wasn't there at the time of the murder on the hiking trail, Devil's Den hiking trail. So it turns out this guy that did the murdering, he's 28 years old, and he's an elementary school teacher. I believe he taught math and something else. And at the age of 28, he was entering his third school in a third state. So he started off, I believe, in Idaho, went to Texas, was a teacher there. Now it's being reported that some of the parents had confrontations with him. So then he went to Arkansas and was going to start working there in the fall when school resumed. So he had a job lined up. So the person that got killed, the Clintons, Clinton Brinks, and his wife, Kristen, I believe it was Kristen Brink. They just moved from, there's several different states they said they came from. They moved from another state, and he was starting a new job as working at a dairy company. So, and he was supposed to start this past Monday. So this guy that the people that caught him, the Arkansas State Police, caught the murderer, they speculate that he went to Devil's Den State Park with the intentions to murder someone. And I'd have to believe that's true because he went there with his license plates taped up. He was carrying a backpack, not so dissimilar to mine, but he was also carrying an empty duffel bag with him over the backpack, which is very odd, very strange. And he was wearing fingerless gloves. He did get injured during the attack. Apparently the parents died saving their 2 daughters, and they did a good job there. Very, very sad story. So they did save their daughters. Unfortunately, they had to sacrifice their lives, and it's just terrible. But so this guy, I'll post a picture of his mugshot on this video. The guy looks deranged, looks like a lunatic. So he drove his car, which they had video of, leaving the murder scene. He drove that same car. It's a black 4-door car. I can't make out what it is. It could have been I don't know what it is. Sporty looking, with taped up license plates. He drove it 25 minutes away to where he lived. He lived 25 minutes away from this state park. And the police, I don't know if they were tracking him. They had eyes on him, but he went in for a haircut. He went into a salon off some side road. I don't know, it was a small highway. And he went in and, he told the lady what he wanted, like, don't cut the hair off the front of his face. Just like a fade. I don't know, I'm bald, so I don't know much about haircuts. Do my own, if you can believe that. So the cops were driving by, or like I said, they were surveilling him. They went in and they arrested him. It's all on video. They arrested him without any pushback from him. So now he's in custody and he's charged with 2 counts of capital murder. So that is punishable by the death penalty. Arkansas is a capital punishment state. The argument for capital punishment is there because they have executed innocent people. But this guy, he's the guy that did it. He was injured, he cut himself, his blood was at the crime scene. They matched that through DNA, and he more or less, they're not saying he confessed to the murders, but they kind of are. So they got the right guy. And having I know this now, I hope they do put him to death. I don't know how they put him to death in Arkansas, lethal injection. I guess it's lethal injection. I don't know if there's too many firing squads or hangings anymore, but whatever it is, it's too good for him. A buddy of mine yesterday said they should stone him to death. Well, might be onto something. But I'm just going to walk down through the hydro field over here and back around, and I'm going to head home. And I'll have about 3 kilometers of a little urban hike today. If you're from the Toronto area, or you're from this area specifically and you don't live here no more and you'd like to see something, leave it in the comment section and I'll try to get back to you, and I'll go about trying to point some things out to you. And if you have any other questions, by all means, I have a very small channel. I respond to all the comments. I get the odd negative one, but whatever. Trolls, that's no big deal. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.